morning. I'm Ken Demers for Psychic Holistic Spotlight. With me tonight we have Bill, who's an herbalist, a healer, and some other stuff. And Josie, who's a medium, healer, candlestick maker.
And friend of angels.
Other stuff. And our guest tonight is Ron Lizotte. And he's part of our Native American Rhode Island contingency. And he's going to tell us some strange and wonderful things. What do you do, Ron?
Mostly what I do is I touch people's hearts. And by doing that, the easiest way is I learned to be a very good listener. There's many ways you can do that, but sometimes, most of the time, to be a good healer, you just need to listen. And also, there's many ways to heal. It can be simple as a nod, a smile, a pat on someone's back, any kind of acknowledgement. But the most powerful that I've learned was just to be a good listener. Lots of times people just need someone to talk to. They just need to get that out and then just feel better. People
are kind of naturally drawn to you?
Yes. It started happening about 15 years ago. People would just, it was mostly women, but people would just come up to me out of the blue sometimes and just want to tell me their problems. They say, I need to talk to you. I know it's you. I got to share this with you. And so you have to take the time. I can remember one morning, I'm recently retired, but one morning getting gas 5:30 in the morning at a self-serve gas station. And I remember seeing a lady with a dog talking to someone that was in their vehicle. I pulled up to the gas pump, I stopped pumping gas, and she comes walking over to me and says, "You gotta help me." She said, "Do you have any tobacco?" And I said, "I do." And I said, "What's the matter?" And she started, just opened up to tell me her problems. And I said, everything's gonna be all right. So I gave her some tobacco and I told her to sprinkle some in each corner of her car, to say some prayers in her own words. And I gave her a hug and I reassured her that everything was gonna be all right.
What led her to come talk to you?
I don't know. It happens.
Do you have a mandala in the car or anything?
No,
indicative?
I make friends very easily. 95% of my social friends are women, and that's a little difficult sometimes with my wife, because I get phone calls all the time. But you can't say no. When someone reaches out or calls you, whether you're in the middle of your meal, you gotta just stop and take that 5 minutes and just. And I just have this gift of being able to put them at ease and just to believe me and let know everything is going to be all right.
So you feel this is the purpose of your life, or is it going more towards something?
My purpose is to heal the world.
Your purpose
to heal the world.
One person at a time.
One person at a time, one day at a time. It's a big order, but you just do one person at a time.
Did you have any kind of classical, traditional Native American training to do this, or is this past life stuff? Or?
It's past life stuff, but also I read every night. I read a lot of book on shamanism, on medicine man, medicine woman, but and I have lots of friends that are the shaman. That there's actually 4 of us that get together like once a month, and we do prayers for someone. We actually just recently did a prayer for all those children that were separated and stuff like that. And if we have a loved one that's going in for an operation, the 4 of us get together and we put our energy and send that to them. And it's when just one person does it, it's helpful. But also I make sure I do phone calls. When a friend of mine gets sick, has an operation, they're gonna hear from me every day. They're gonna know I care and I'm honest, and it's coming. You do everything to your heart. When you learn to listen through your heart and you speak through your heart, people know that and feel that. And I can't explain it, but people just come to me, and I'm always able to help them.
That's what you did.
I'm just,
He walked past me down at the Crown Plaza, and I grabbed him. And here he is.
He practically physically tackled me.
Well, not quite.
Who are you and what do you do?
Yes. Yes.
Ron, I have a question now.
Sure.
You mentioned the first story concerning a woman asked you for tobacco. Now, is this tobacco, or is this like a bark tobacco, or?
Tobacco is very sacred to most tribes.
Right.
We call it kikanik.
Yes.
It's herbs. It's a different herbs. There's different mixtures that you use for different things, for different ceremonies or things like this. Like this is my medicine pipe. Like if I go to a funeral or a wake, I bring that with me. If I really need
And you have a specific mixture for that.
Yes, but so tobacco is very sacred. We use sage, we use cedar, we use sweetgrass. It attracts the good spirits, but it also gets rid of the bad or the evil or the negative energy.
Vibration.
The negative energy.
Right.
And if he can't do it with the tobacco smoke, why do you think it looks like an axe?
No, that's not true. I have a lot of pipes, quite a few, but this is one I call my medicine pipe, and it's powerful, and it's something you don't normally let other people touch or anything because it has your medicine on it. But
pick it up, hold it so they can see it.
But and your pipe, if people didn't see it, but you never leave your pipe together. Whenever it's in the bag, it's the male and the female. They can be together in the same bag, but you only put it together when you're going to use it.
Yeah.
But
so you could put them down separate.
No, they can stay there for now. It's fine, but.
Ta-da! That hand off. There you go.
But,
now they can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
But anyway, did you make it yourself?
I did. Yes.
And is that traditional pipestone?
Yes, it's catalyte.
It's called catalyte. He was talking about it earlier.
It's catalyte. It looks like a brick. It's only mined in Minnesota.
I've got a couple of 5-gallon buckets of it at home.
You can use like a hacksaw and a file and a drill to make it and shape it. And then you sand it down and you polish it to a very fine, and then.
Is it considered a little medium or soft?
It's soft. It's fairly soft stone. And then what you do is you put it out, especially with the heat we've had the last few weeks, you put it out and you rub it down with beeswax. And it's just like, this would be dull like a brick, but it has beeswax on it. So it's just like if you put polish on your shoes.
Sure. There's the oils from the beeswax,
It protects it from humidity and everything else,
Yes.
as well as giving it a shine.
It's semi-fragile.
Yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to drop it
No.
on
Soft rock.
a hard floor.
It comes in veins of an old lake bed in a certain area of Minnesota, and it'll be from 3 or 4 inches to maybe a foot thick. But other than that, it's the only place in the world where it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe you.
It's kind of neat stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting also. I mean, when I first met Ron, we were talking about the pipe and the catalyte, how they were actually precluded from actually being able to harvest that and make pipes for a while. I mean,
The Native Americans.
Right, because of the treaties and whatnot that were made and were broken, and they had a lot of, white people that just basically settled the area and, prevented them from harvesting it. But now he told me that It's
Yeah,
It's back.
It's a national park.
yeah. Now I believe it. I believe it is now.
It's part of it.
But at one time, someone owned it privately, and for a few years they weren't able to get any stone. But hundreds of years ago, the tribes from all over the country traded.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't tell the white men where they were getting it.
And is it the Western tribes that use soapstone? Or they only use soapstone for other carvings?
All tribes are different. Like you can never generalize. They all have different things that they do and beliefs, and like red is very sacred to a lot of tribes, but there's a couple of tribes that red's taboo. So it's hard. You can't really generalize on
Lots and lots of different tribes.
Yeah.
Now, you would briefly mention to me that you're in the process of building a drumming amphitheater in Barrington?
No, I live in Burrillville,
Burrillville.
northwest Rhode Island.
Okay. And what inspired that, and what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to start a drumming circle. There's a lot of, if you ever been to a powwow, they have a big drum, which I have one, and you can get 10 or 12 people. And I had a ceremony Memorial Day weekend where I had a bunch of people up that we call Reconnect with Nature. I did a plant meditation where you were the seed and planted yourself in the ground and you became a plant. We plant a peace tree every year. I tell Native American stories. A peace tree.
Peace tree.
For peace. And this year, with what was going on with Korea, and we all put our intentions into the roots when you're planting this tree. So there was like 35 people there. So we all put our intentions.
How do you pick the tree?
I go and like just walk around, and I dig one up like on the power lines. That's underneath the power lines, because eventually when that tree gets taller, it's going to get clear cut. So I always pick one from there. But we put our intentions.
So it's a rescue tree.
Well, yes, but you put your intentions in, and my intention was at the time that there would be peace on the Korean Peninsula. Other people put in different things, but those roots spread out and they connect the whole Mother Earth.
Yes, trees are all interconnected.
Oh, absolutely. And
I don't know what they do about the deserts, but they're connected everywhere else that they exist.
I had talking about trees being connected. I own a couple of energy vortexes, and I had one of my friends come up and sit on the rock that used to be used by Native Americans for healing up in Connecticut. And she had been to the energy vortex I got out in Situate, and she got in a conversation with the ferry that was involved with it, and they were saying that they used to go between the sites through the roots of the trees. They don't do it as much anymore because the roads have cut the tree's roots. They can still do it through the air, but it takes them. It's more difficult and longer. Takes them longer. So I just thought it was interesting that you're talking about the interconnection of the tree roots.
Yeah. Trees do talk to each other. They communicate, and we can communicate. And if we learn to take our time, the world wasn't meant to be at the speed that where it's not supposed to be that rat race. And I've been able to, for the last year and a half being retired, I'm able to pay a lot more attention and to feel and see things and notice and not missing them. I was a truck driver by trade before, so I always had to pay attention when I was on the road. You couldn't let your mind, but now I'm able to pay a lot more attention, and you get the messages. And I mean, spirit is around you all the time.
Okay, here's something you can think about. Here we go.
Totally ignore him if you don't know the answer.
If I don't know the answer, I will say so.
No, this is something that I'm going to offer to him.
Okay.
I have this energy vortex out in Situate. The fairy that's in charge of it says she's been there for 12,000 years.
Wow.
And the Native Americans, according to her, have used it for multi-thousands of years. It's for healing, meditation, and transformational energies.
Nice.
There's a major vortex in the middle, surrounded by 6 small vortexes.
Wow.
The small ones are specialized for different kinds of healing.
Okay.
And she tells me I'm supposed to do ceremonies there periodically. I've been kind of lax lately.
Yeah.
Would you care to do a ceremony?
I would be honored to.
And it's not even that far.
Yeah.
No, it's
No,
right up
I would
near
be
the
honored
police
to
station.
visit and just to be able to feel that and experience that.
Oh,
and
interest.
Oh, I'm sure.
People have all kinds of experiences there.
Oh, I'm sure they
They
do.
feel like they're falling through time, or there's wolves howling in the woods when you're
but-
doing the ceremonies.
But if
We
you've
don't have
been
a lot of
if you've
wolves.
been told that you need to do that,
Yeah,
you need to
You
do
need
it.
to do that.
You need to
But I-
find the time and do it. I know it's, you know.
And joining together with someone else to assist you with it is A-okay.
Well, it's not as easy as you would think to find someone like this that's capable of doing it in a respectful manner. I mean, I've kind of run through everybody in the state. You know, I hate to intrude on people, but. And
Well,
then-
a lot of people, when they go there, they experience strong energies from the nature spirits and the trees. And he was chided one time by, what did they call troll? Not a troll.
Say again?
The little
Oh,
elves. Yes.
Okay.
Gnomes.
the gnomes.
Gnomes. Because he wasn't included in the
In the
gnomes weren't
traditional
included in the
system,
ceremony.
how you welcome in the 4 directions, you welcome in the 4-leggeds, the winged,
Yep. Which I
the
do.
elves, the fairies.
The unseen.
I forgot to welcome in the gnomes, and that particular session, I had the representatives of like 6 spiritualist churches, and one of the guys from Hartford comes up to me, he says, "Ken, the gnomes aren't happy. You didn't welcome them in. Didn't know we had gnomes."
So I
we
hope you
welcomed them in.
forgave and yes, made amends.
Yeah, we tried.
Well,
else
sometimes
do you
there's
like to do?
more than meets the eye.
I go to some powwows, which is very. The drum just draws me. It's our Mother Earth's her heartbeat, and the drum just is like a magnet. When I hear a drum, it just draws me in. I just like being around them.
Sure, it's the vibration. It's the
You
resonance.
use the, well, I don't know what you call them, the little
Crystal
tom-toms?
balls.
I have
And
some
then the
small
snare
hand
drums?
drums. Yeah, I have some small hand drums. I mean, I have rattles. I have flutes. I've been wanting to learn how to play the flute, but I have a German Shepherd, and every time I pick up that flute, he howls like a wolf, and he just doesn't want me to play it. So
Now, do you use the drums when you're working on people's hearts?
Quite often, if I go to a hospital, like when my brother was in hospice recently, I mean, I would bring my drum every day and I would just drum
quietly.
softly, and it's very soothing and relaxing. And I have gone to some, when I go visit people in a rehabilitation center or something, when they're recovering from an operation, they're not well enough to go home, I'll bring my drum.
Now, historically, what tribe are you out of?
I'm Sioux.
Oh,
From out-
Lakota Sioux?
Yeah, from out west, yeah. My goal is next August to go there and go to one of their powwows. And I know there's, from other people I've met that have been to that, on that reservation, they told me there's a lot of Lizottes there. So I would,
You're going to feel at home.
yeah.
What, the Native American, he's half Native American Sioux, and
He's
my brain,
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
him.
you're now with Tom Frederick.
Tom Fredericks.
Oh, yeah.
You know Tom
No,
Fredericks?
I don't.
No.
I don't.
He's,
A very accomplished Native American singer. He's local.
Okay.
He's half Lakota Sioux and half 2 or 3 other things.
He is everything. He has Polynesian and,
Yeah.
and the Chinese bloods,
Big boy.
the white and the African and Native. He's
Very
everything.
interesting person.
I'm
But
sure.
I'm thinking in terms of he would be an interesting person for you to extend an invitation to when you're going to do your
A ceremony, or
Yeah,
I have a time
ceremony
at my
of
house,
things.
yes.
Because
Yes.
that's kind of
Yeah,
his thing.
yeah, I would love to meet him.
He was trained by, I can't remember, his uncles were very significant medicine men in the
Okay.
Lakota Sioux.
Okay, there was a lot of them over the years, but
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
I've
know.
met them, I can't remember the names.
I don't know his lineage, but I know
okay.
Gary's, no, I don't, anyway, somebody.
he learned a lot from them.
So, how do you see things unfolding for you now as you are getting maybe a little more recognition, or?
Things seem to be opening up to me. I keep meeting more and more fascinating people that I'm supposed to meet, and I know it's not a coincidence. I'm supposed to meet these people, and it's a reason.
He was supposed to
And-
be on the air.
And yes, and I see myself speaking, like being a speaker.
Is that what you're trying to take it to?
Well, I just think that seems to be where
With
it's
the
going, and
story-
it's what
with
it's
the
telling me.
native
With
stories.
storytelling, but also I'm a
history.
historian. I know a lot of history. I read a lot of books, so I know a lot more than the
Do
average
you
person.
know a short story that we could hear now? We got about 8 minutes,
I,
so 3 or 4 minute one maybe?
that's,
If it's kind of putting you on the spot, I guess.
yeah, it was.
Most stories aren't that short.
Yeah, a lot of the stories that I do read from a book that were handed down from generation to generation.
tradition.
They were all traditional
Written.
stories, and they were only told in the winter in their lodges.
Why is that? Oh,
Because they saved them for that time of the year when they were stuck there, so it was
Indoors.
so cold. And that's from the children growing up, hearing it from their grandparents and their parents. It was embedded in their mind. So as they grew, they handed it down from generation to generation. But just recently, like in the 70s and 80s, a lot of these people
written down.
started writing them down
because
they were afraid they were going to lose them. Just like a lot of shaman and medicine men, they would never share their power. They didn't want white people to know it, and they didn't want to share it. But they started realizing that there was so few of them left. They didn't want the knowledge to be lost.
I used to worry about that.
So a lot of it is they do open up now and write it down, and because they want it to not to be
survive.
lost.
They want it to
They
survive.
want it to survive.
I used to worry about that, about all this wisdom that was being lost and
Spirit
and
donates it.
It's there.
And
You
channels
just
it.
gotta you just gotta
Eventually.
call in the proper people, and they're going to teach what you need to know.
Exactly.
So I kind of stopped worrying about that.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I could tell you a little bit some about go back to trees, like nature, because
Sure,
I'm big on nature.
that's
But
excellent.
a sassafras tree has 3 different distinct leaves,
Right.
which is most trees, like a maple leaf has a certain, a red oak, a white oak.
Mulberry
A
is the same way.
sassafras has 3 different distinct leaves. They have one that's got 3 fingers.
Yep.
They have one that's like a mitten, and then they have one that's kind of like a heart.
Right.
And I stumbled across this by accident quite a few years ago. But in the fall, when the leaves turn colors and they start falling off, Native Americans would string those on a string,
Yeah.
collect them all, and put thousands and thousands of them and store them inside in their lodges.
Oh.
And when the cold moons came and they had to go out foraging or hunting or collect wood,
Sure.
they would crumble them up and put them in their mittens and in their moccasins. And it gives off heat just like the heat pads you have today.
Really?
Yes. And now I tried it like 10 years ago when I discovered this by accident in some book I was reading.
Sure.
That, so I collected them that fall and I tried it, and it's unbelievable how it
Why?
works. It's I can't tell you, but you got to remember, before Europeans came here, any sickness or illness a Native American got, there was a plant to heal it.
Yeah.
But
And
when they
usually
brought
it was
the diseases,
nearby.
and it was not, nearby. So like when I go out and collect some leaves, you ask the tree. You have ask permission. If you get poison ivy, there's a plant called sweet fern,
That's right.
but you don't
Say it again?
sweet fern.
Okay.
And it smells very sweet. But when you go out and collect that, you only take a little from each tree, and you ask permission for that. And then you bring it home, and you bring the water to a boil, and then just let it simmer for like a half hour. Then you drain it off, and then you put it on your poison ivy, and it'll dry it up. So that, I mean.
Yeah, I think there's another one.
There's another
There-
one.
Oh yes, yes,
Yellow
there's.
or something. I can't.
Yellow something, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's more than one.
Yes.
But it depends on where you're living.
Yeah.
I don't know what sweet fern is.
Well, if I
I'd have to.
come,
I'd have to.
if
I'd
I
probably
come
know
to
it,
your
but
vortex in
I'd have to
Situate,
see
I
it.
will bring you some.
You know what I have there? That's. I have an American chestnut that keeps
Oh, wow.
trying to grow.
Nice.
It'll get about 20 feet tall, and then it dies off, and then it starts again.
Well, that's beautiful. That's good.
It's
Well, you
kinda
have to
neat.
let it know that you want it there. Have you done that?
What?
Welcome it.
Oh,
Say,
yeah.
please grow,
Yeah, it does.
flourish.
The root, God knows, well, the root's got to go back to when, 1910 or something? You know? The current tenant cut it down, which didn't make me overly happy, but it's just a shrub to him. But
Yeah, but they're not just shrubs.
don't do that, please.
Yeah. Oh, if anyone wants to contact you, how do you have
I don't have.
Facebook page or
I
anything?
do not. I don't know how to turn a computer on.
Okay.
I'm very old-fashioned, and I just have what they call I call it a dumb phone. It's a flip
I have
phone.
one too.
Do you give
I
that
don't
phone
even.
number out?
I do.
Give it out.
It's 401-255-9526.
Do it again.
401-255-9526.
Good. Anyone who wants to reach you will be able to get you, or if you don't have that, if you weren't able to write it down, you can call the message that comes up with my name on it, the phone number, 401-575-6450, and I'll contact them, you with the number.
Thank you.
You know, also, maybe you could share with us, just off the top of your head, a couple books that people can get into
Oh, right,
very
you
easily.
guys were
because,
talking about books.
Right, well, there's several out there that are very,
Yes,
It's
there's
been
a
around
lot
since
of
the
great
early
books.
1900s.
That if you want to know about history, one of them's Wampum Belts and Peace Trees, and I believe the author's name is Gregory Schaff.
okay?
And it was about the first American I'm thinking of the word that took care of the red men when they were having all these problems. And a lot of this history was around 1775, 1776.
I see.
And a lot of people don't know that 13 colonies, there was almost a 14th colony. And it was going to be, the Indian nations were going to be the 14th colony.
Right.
That almost happened in our history, and a lot of people.
I never heard that.
A lot of people don't know about that. No, it's
The
true.
Iroquois Confederation?
Yes, a lot of our Constitution is copied from.
Oh, yeah, that I know.
From
Yeah.
the Iroquois. They had a Constitution dating back to the 1400s before Columbus came here, and they had three branches of
Three branches of
Yes.
government.
of government.
And the middle, there's a grandma's branch.
Well, there's,
Well,
that's,
Well, that was one thing our founding fathers left out, was the women. They had 13 clans. They had like the Dare clan, the Turtle clan, so forth and so on. And if they wanted to go to war, there were men were the peace chiefs and the war chiefs. But if they wanted to go to war to retaliate, they had to ask the 13 grandmothers. The 13 grandmothers had the power to say if they were going to war. And the reason they understood that was because they were the givers of birth.
Okay,
It was
we
their
have to-
sons and grandsons and nephews that they were going to.
It's time for us to say goodnight, and thank you, Ron.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Josie and Bill and myself say goodnight to you, and we hope that if you have any suggestions for shows you'd like to see.